Karen Blair is the brand new basketball coach for Georgia Tech. And of course, there she is. Big, bright smile coming from the University of Maryland. Tons of success. And, we got so used to Nell Fortner as one of the most gregarious, wonderful people. And of course, Karen's going to roll in there and say, all right, let's rock and roll. And of course, Matt, you do a lot of Big Ten radio. You know the job she's done up at Maryland. And of course, Maryland women's basketball has been really good for a long, long time.
Great job recruiting. They nearly beat South Carolina in the NCAA tournament this year and has done a great job. Remember, Angel Reese started at Maryland, right? I mean, they know how to recruit there and certainly hoping to bring that here to Georgia Tech.
All right, with that said, let's head down to the ATL and bring on the coach making her debut on the program and welcome her to the ACC and, of course, the network. Coach, first of all, congratulations. I know getting an opportunity to be in the front row on the big chair is an opportunity. You just got to say, hey, let's go. And you're at a place at Georgia Tech where you know you can win and win big. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's, I'm very happy to be here. I think Nell's done a great job of getting this program back to winning and going to the NCAA tournament. And so I'm just happy to be the next leader for Georgia Tech.
You've been coaching for a very long time, waiting for an opportunity like this. You've been, there with Brenda Freeze there in Maryland. At what point do you wonder while you're going through this, wondering if it's ever going to happen for you? Because when you see all your colleagues and compatriots there having head coaching jobs, what goes through your mind?
For me, I was in a really good situation, being with Brenda, and obviously we had a lot of success at Maryland. So that allowed me the opportunity to be really patient. And for me, fit was really important. I've been doing this for a really long time, but I think when you do this, you've got to find what fits you as a head coach. And, for me at Georgia Tech, the academics fit, the basketball, the amount of support that you get here, the community, and obviously being in Atlanta and Georgia, it's just such a hotbed for recruiting. So very similar, like to my time in the DMV. So I'm just excited to get out here and, and find the players and keep them home.
It's funny, when I watched your news conference today, I thought she looks a lot like Brenda Freeze. And I know you've been
Well,
working with
you and
her.
a half of Maryland would agree. It was very beneficial when we went out recruiting because half the time, if I wore a red shirt, it was like guaranteed that I was Brenda Freeze. So I'm happy that I get to be in, the blue and white and actually get to be myself, going forward.
That's awesome. And she's so accomplished. What did you learn sitting next to her for all these years?
Yeah, the thing about Brenda is she's just a relentless worker. I mean, I don't think she gets enough credit for the continued success to win 20 plus, games for as many seasons as she has. It's like the standard of excellence that she's set and the family atmosphere and the player-led culture that she's built there at Maryland, it's second to none. And it was a privilege to be able to be a part of that.
Karen, coming from a power league like the Big Ten, which plays extremely good women's basketball, the SEC has been terrific. The ACC has been incredibly deep, too. The hook in which you said, hey, you know what? Not only do I want to compete, but I think we can win at the highest level. What was the mindset and the thought process going through that?
Yeah, I mean, the ACC is a great basketball league. So for me, this was a great opportunity. I wanted to be able to be in a very competitive league, like you said, coming from where I was coming from. But I love the brand and the style of the ACC, and I think it fits me. And I'm just ready to, be able to compete at the highest level. And in Georgia Tech, we want to continue this tradition of, going to the NCAA tournament. That's the standard for us, and that's who we want to be going forward.
In a normal coaching change back in the day, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, you could talk about what you inherit from the previous coach. But now it's like a day-to-day thing. We know Carnegie's in the portal, and there's things that you got to work through there. And you have some players there probably sitting in front of you today. I don't even know if they're going to be on the team next year. How do you handle all of that as you try and transition and build a roster?
Yeah, in places that I've stayed before, you can have a winning season and somebody could start and they can still enter the transfer portal. I mean, I think right now most teams average, four players in the portal. I mean, it's just kind of the reality of the freedom of movement that these athletes have in the transfer portal. So to me, it's like making sure the ones that are here want to be here. I've had a chance to kind of sit down and meet with them today, and that's been the best part of my day, is just getting to know them and them getting to know me. And now my job is to go out and find the right fit and players that want to be here at Georgia Tech and, fit what we need.
Karen, I'm so glad that you didn't answer that question by saying, "Well, I'm wasting time doing an interview when I could be out recruiting
Yeah.
right now." These idiots are asking me questions like, "Hey, don't you understand? I got 5 stars. I got to make sure they stay or come to Georgia Tech." I'm talking to you two bozos. So I'm glad you didn't answer it that way. But I mean, I got to
Absolutely
figure.
not.
There you go. I got to figure though, heads on a swivel at this point in time for any coach, regardless of sport, that the landscape is to the point now that you know what, there really isn't a day off trying to put together a roster in this day and age.
Yeah, it's not, but again, like being in this business for 26 years, this is where you're relying on your network. It's like again, my most important thing to take care of right now is these student athletes that are here on this campus at Georgia Tech and talking to them. And this is where I'm going to rely on my network and years of experience is, I have to go into the portal. And I think a lot of people have been really great, giving me a little grace and allowing me to at least breathe here for these, first couple days and then be able to sit down and really hit the portal the way that I need to.
You mentioned the conversations you had with the current players on the roster, the ones that were there today. How much of that is you selling yourself to them, and how much of it is them selling what they can do to you?
Well, again, I'm very lucky. I'm taking over a program right now that had a good year. They just went to the NCAA tournament. It's not like I'm coming in and taking over a program that, did just won 10 games. So for me, this was a good product. It was a good team that was out there on the court. So for me, it's just kind of getting to know them and the student athletes that are on this roster. I want them to continue to be here and be a part of the program going forward. And then I'll build around, I'll build around them, build around that foundation.
Karen, I used to work at the University of Maryland. What will you miss the most about College Park?
Oh, College Park. I'll tell you what I'll miss is the epic pickleball games as we had as a staff. I'm going to have to start a new tradition here at Georgia Tech. I think I'm going to have to rally up a new troops.
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds like once we line up the roster, next thing up is the All-World Pickleball Championships at Georgia Tech, and bring on all parties, right? I would only imagine that those were unbelievably competitive.
Yeah, as you can imagine, and none of us like to lose. So every single game was super competitive. You didn't want to get up into too close to the net when certain people were getting ready to slam it down right in your face, and there was no mercy given. I will tell you that.
And how would you rate your pickleball experience? Pretty good. I mean, you're a player.
I would say, yeah, I think I'm decent, but again, it's kind of like my golf game. I do it every once in a while. I'm not getting lessons or doing anything. I just like to compete and be outside and have a good time with my friends.
I can't, you know what? I don't know you at all. All right. And other than this 7 minutes going back and forth, I'm gonna expect that you would be a complete, really difficult person to deal with like any board game, card game, crossing the street. I'm already sensing from you that, hey, everything is competition. Is that accurate?
I'm never going to say that. Yeah, I play Monopoly and haven't been known to cheat a little bit here or there, but, it may or may not have happened. But no, I mean, it's everything. I mean, I think everything that we do is competitive, but I think there's a way to do it in a healthy way. And that for me is what it's about. Like I've always been a hard worker, and that's what I kind of, pride myself on. And that's kind of what my competitive nature just is.
You mentioned this being the right fit. Why is it the right fit?
Yeah, for me, I came from a high academic institution when I played basketball at SMU, and so Georgia Tech reminds me a lot of that. And I had the best college experience. I had the best teammates. And I'll just tell you, as you go through a process like this, it's all about the people that you meet, and every single person that I met was exceptional. So it was like the further I got along in the process, it was just like it just felt like home, and it felt so natural for me. And the academics was a big piece. This is a supported basketball program. This is within a great community, and like I said, the recruiting base here in the city, this region, and the state. And I know they'll get behind the program. So this was an easy call for me to make.
Always curious about coaches taking over a program for a previous coach, especially one that was successful and one that seemed like one that we know to be a very nice and personable person. Did you have conversations with Nell about the job before you took it or after you took it?
No, I did not. I actually did not speak to Nell until this morning. Her and I were able to, get on a phone call and we talked for about 45 minutes. But I've known of Nell, like in my time of Texas, and I know the success that Nell has had and how important she has been to the women's basketball community and how much she's given back and just the amount of people that she's been able to impact. So for me, then I know coming in here that I know this program was run the right way and that she cared for her players and her staff and the people around her. So I knew that was going to be, that was going to be immediate from her, that this was going to be a place with great people.
What was the most important thing that she conveyed to you in that 45 minutes?
I think the best thing she said was just like, hang on, I know it's going to be a crazy couple days, but she's like, everything will just kind of start to settle down. And, she just had a lot of encouraging words and was just so positive. And I'm just so thankful, to be able to have her as an ally.
She also mentioned something about finding a pickleball partner, but I don't know where that's going to go. But we'll see where that happens. By the way, you mentioned the SMU ties. Adia Barnes gets announced as the new head coach at SMU. So again, we look forward to meeting you and Coach Barnes down there at SMU now that they're a member of the ACC. And wish you nothing but success, Coach. We look forward to meeting you in person.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I really enjoyed it and hope we can do this again soon. Thank you.
We will. You got it.